Ever wondered how to make a delicious and healthy apple pie? Well, you're in the right place. Apple pie is a timeless classic, isn't it? With its sweet and tangy filling, flaky crust, and heartwarming aroma, it's no wonder it has become a staple at holiday gatherings around the world. But as much as we love indulging in this sweet treat, we can't deny the fact that store-bought pies often contain unnecessary additives and preservatives. That's where homemade apple pies come in. When you make your own apple pie, you have complete control over what goes into it. You can choose fresh organic apples, swap refined sugar for natural sweeteners, and even opt for a whole grain crust. It's a great way to indulge in your favorite holiday dessert without compromising your health. So, are you ready to give it a try? Get those aprons ready because today, you're going to learn how to make the best apple pie you've ever tasted. First things first, it's time to gather your ingredients. For the apple pie that we're about to create, we'll need a medley of elements. Let's start with the crust. You'll need 2½ cups of whole wheat flour, a teaspoon of salt, and a cup of unsalted butter. Add in a 1/4 cup of ice water, and you've got the makings of a perfect flaky crust. Now for the filling, gather 6 to 7 tart apples, peeled and sliced. Organic apples are a great choice here. You'll also need 1/2 cup of both granulated and brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon each of ground cinnamon and pure vanilla extract, and a dash of ground nutmeg for that extra holiday warmth. Remember, opting for fresh organic ingredients not only makes your pie healthier but also elevates its taste. With all your ingredients ready, we can now move on to the fun part, the baking. A great apple pie starts with a perfect crust. That's our motto here, and it's the secret to a truly memorable pie. Now let's get to work on that crust. First things first, we're going to need some ingredients. We're going to need 1¼ cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of sugar, and 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. That butter needs to be cold, folks, straight from the fridge. Why cold, you ask? Well, this is the key to achieving that flaky, tender crust we all love. When the cold butter hits the hot oven, it creates steam that lifts the dough, creating those beautiful, flaky layers. Now let's start by mixing our dry ingredients together. That's your flour, your salt, and your sugar. Once that's done, we're going to cut our cold butter into small cubes. Then we're going to add those cubes to our dry ingredients. We need to work quickly here, folks. We don't want that butter to warm up. Next, we're going to use our fingers or a pastry cutter to cut that butter into the flour. We're aiming for a coarse, crumbly texture. Remember, overworking the dough is a cardinal sin in pie crust making. We don't want tough crust, so handle it as little as possible. Now we're going to add ice water, a tablespoon at a time, just until the dough comes together. Once it's come together, we're going to shape it into a disc, wrap it in plastic wrap, and pop it in the fridge. This chilling stage is crucial, folks. It allows the gluten in the flour to relax, which makes for a tender crust. Plus, it gives that butter a chance to firm up again, which, as we've learned, is key to a flaky crust. But remember, patience is a virtue. Your crust needs to chill for at least 1 hour before it's ready to roll out. With your crust prepped and chilling in the fridge, it's time to move on to the star of the show, the apple filling. Now, let's dive into creating that sweet, flavorful apple filling. The heart of our apple pie lies in the filling. It's where the magic truly happens. The first step is to pick the right apples. Not all apples are created equal, and we're looking for a variety that has a balance of sweet and tart and holds its shape during baking. Golden Delicious or Granny Smith apples are excellent choices for this. You'll need about 6 to 7 medium-sized apples. Peel, core, and thinly slice your apples. Be sure to keep the slices uniform for even cooking. Next, we'll sprinkle these slices with the juice of 1/2 lemon. This not only adds a tangy flavor, but also prevents the apples from browning. Now let's move on to the spice mix. We'll need a combination of ground cinnamon, nutmeg, and a pinch of allspice. These spices will give our pie that classic warm holiday flavor. Mix these spices with a bit of granulated sugar and sprinkle generously over your apple slices. Give it a good toss until every slice is coated with this sweet and spicy mix. Lastly, add a couple tablespoons of flour to the mix. This will help thicken the juices released by the apples during baking, giving you a filling that's sweet, flavorful, and holds together nicely in your pie. With your filling ready, we're just one step away from putting it all together. Now comes the moment of truth, assembling and baking your apple pie. Begin by gently placing your beautifully crafted bottom crust into a clean pie dish. Make sure it fits snugly, with no air pockets beneath. Next, pour in the apple filling you've prepared, spreading it evenly. Don't be afraid to pile it high, as it will condense during baking. Now, For the grand finale, the top crust. You can simply lay it over the filling if you like, but for the extra festive touch, why not cut it into strips and weave them into a classic lattice pattern? It's a bit more work, but the result is well worth the effort. With the pie assembled, it's time to bake. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the pie on the middle rack and let it do its magic. It will need about 50 minutes to an hour, but don't go too far. You'll want to keep an eye on it to prevent any unwanted charring. So, how do you know when your pie is done? The crust should be golden brown and the filling should be bubbling. That's when you know you've hit the sweet spot. There you have it, a delicious homemade apple pie. Serve it warm with a delicious cup of coffee and enjoy the compliments that will surely come your way.